Since the media spent the past 2 weeks obsessing over a fake letter from Trump to Jeffrey Epstein that was published by the Wall Street Journal, I figured this would be a good time to highlight some real letters that America's most famous people have sent to Trump over the years that you will not believe. Trump revealed the contents of dozens of letters he's received throughout his life from A-list celebrities in his 2023 book, Letters to Trump. I went through the book, I could not believe some of the people that were in it, and I could not believe some of the things that they were saying. And then I went online to try to see if anybody had done a piece on it, and I could hardly find anything. So here we go. Here's the unbelievable list of secret celebrity letters to Trump. All right, here we go. Alec Baldwin, the lunatic actor who mercilessly mocked Trump for years on Saturday Night Live.
I'm about to be president. We're all going to die. Next question.
I'm going to read his letter to Trump word for word. January 21st, 1998. Dear Donald, for a tough guy in a tough business, you are a sweet and generous man. I could never sufficiently thank you for the use of the penthouse suite you comped us. You are a gentleman. All the best, Alec Baldwin. Trump said that every time he saw Alec Baldwin over the years, Baldwin would tell him how much he wanted to portray Trump's life story in a movie, but that when Trump ran for president, Alec Baldwin became a psycho, and Trump finds it hard to believe that Alec Baldwin thought the gun was unloaded.
Decency and respect are on the ballot in 2024.
Oprah Winfrey, the global icon and Democrat media darling, wrote multiple letters to Trump, including in 1997 and 2000, where she called Trump a king, said that Alexander the Great wished he had a place as nice as Mar-a-Lago, and said it's too bad that her and Trump are not running for office together because what a team they would be.
And I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not.
First of all, when he announced, I was like laughing my ass off.
Same here.
He was on that little escalator down with the fake crowd going.
Rosie O'Donnel, the Trump derangement syndrome suffering former host of The Rosie O'Donnell Show and The View, who became one of the first leftists I've actually seen follow through on a pledge to leave the country if Trump got elected, wrote a letter to Trump after he appeared on her show and said, "Dear Donald, the show was great. You were perfect." All caps. I hope you had fun. See you soon, Rosie.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
Legendary TV host Barbara Walters wrote to Trump after his divorce from Ivana Trump in 1990, telling him that she still supports him and thanking him for the many years of great trust and special friendship they had. Barbara Walters was the founder and original host of the show The View, a show that Donald Trump appeared on a record 18 times before he ran for president, and it became the most anti-Trump show on television. Hillary Clinton wrote a long letter to Trump after Trump donated to the Clinton Foundation and Hillary and Bill attended Trump's wedding to Melania. Trump probably regrets that donation, but this picture is priceless. Here's a pretty crazy one. Princess Diana wrote a handwritten letter to Donald Trump 1 month before her tragic death in 1997. Trump said that Diana was an intelligent woman who had a captivating it factor, but that she led a very complicated life with the royal family. No kidding. President Richard Nixon wrote a letter to Trump in 1987 saying that his wife Pat was an expert on politics, and she predicted that whenever Trump decided to run for office, that he would be a winner. Nixon also wrote Trump again in 1990, saying that watching the massive media attack that Trump was experiencing at the time made Nixon an immediate supporter of Trump, and he was confident that Trump would overcome whatever difficulties he was facing. Trump added that he got to know Nixon well in Nixon's life post-presidency, and that the biggest mistake and biggest regret of Nixon's life was not fighting back harder against the mob that successfully ran him out of the White House in 1974. President Bill Clinton. Where do I start with Trump and Bill Clinton? They had a friendship that went back over 30 years before Trump ran against Hillary. Bill Clinton's favorite golf course was Trump National in Westchester, New York, near his house. Trump said that he and Bill Clinton used to sit there and talk about politics for hours after they got done playing golf. He said he considers Bill Clinton to be a political genius. He said that Bill knew that Hillary would lose to Trump and that Hillary's biggest mistake was not using the political genius of Bill Clinton, and he still likes Bill Clinton to this day, but some things are just not meant to be. There's multiple letters in here from members of the Kennedy family. Senator Ted Kennedy was a big fan of Trump's and infamously told Trump that Joe Biden was the dumbest member of the U.S. Senate, his fellow Democrat senator. But the most interesting letter and story in this book is from John F. Kennedy Jr. after he put Trump on the cover cover of his magazine called George in 1999. Trump and JFK Jr. were great friends. They used to go to Knicks games together. And Trump said that JFK Jr., while his family was pressuring him to go into politics, and he could have easily become the Democrat nominee in 1999 or the president of the United States, what he really wanted to do was be a movie star. And Trump said that would have been easy for him because he was one of the best looking people he had ever seen in his entire life. President George H.W. Bush wrote to Trump in 1988 and said, quote, "Words cannot express how grateful I am for you and everything you've done for me." After Trump helped him with his 1988 presidential campaign, Bush Sr. then wrote Trump again 9 years later in 1997, thanking him for hosting a fundraiser for his son Jeb at Trump Tower. Bush Sr. said that he and Jeb could not believe how good of a job Trump did on it. But Trump added that, contrary to the letter, he thought Bush Sr. never appreciated him and everything that he did for his campaign, and that he learned everything he needed to know about George H.W. Bush when he saw this infamous statement shortly before Bush Sr. raised taxes.
Read my lips.
Trump even included a letter from former First Lady Barbara Bush, who wrote to him saying that she saw him being attacked in a television interview in 1989 and thought he handled it wonderfully. If you remember, Barbara Bush absolutely hated Trump when he was taking down her son Jeb Bush in the 2016 presidential campaign.
This is a tough business to run for
I know
president.
you're a tough guy, Jeb.
President George W. Bush wrote to Trump in 1997 thanking Trump for inviting him to his Miss USA pageant and thanking Trump for holding the event in Texas when George W. Bush was the governor there. Trump then railed on George W. Bush for spending trillions of dollars and getting millions of people killed in the Middle East, but said that the real person he blames for that is Dick Cheney because Dick Cheney forced the younger Bush to do it, and that he wishes the Bushes well. The king of pop, Michael Jackson, and Trump used to be great friends. Michael Jackson lived in Trump Tower in the early 1990s, and according to Trump, he used to play video games with Trump's sons Don Jr. and Eric. And once, while Jackson was recovering from being sick, he wrote to Trump and said, "Dear Donald, with your prayers as my shield, I am quickly advancing towards a full recovery. I look forward to getting back to work and sharing in the fruits of my labor with loyal friends like you." There's nice letters from Jay Leno thanking Trump for coming on his show. And there's a letter exchange between David Letterman and Trump. David Letterman and Howard Stern both called Trump the best guest they've ever had on their show. And Trump and David Letterman exchanged letters when Trump told David Letterman that he was canceling his appearance on his show and would not be appearing on his show again after David Letterman called him a racist on the air. Democrat Senator Chuck Schumer, who got his very first campaign contribution ever from Donald Trump when Schumer was running for the New York State Assembly in the early 1980s, wrote a letter to Trump in 1999 thanking Trump for hosting a fundraiser for him at Mar-a-Lago. Schumer said he could not believe the enthusiasm and the energy that Trump was able to generate, and he encouraged Trump to please call him anytime and share his thoughts on politics. I'm sure his wish has come true on that one. Tennis legend Serena Williams is in here after she attended the grand opening of one of Trump's tennis facilities at his country club in Washington, D.C. And basketball legend Shaquille O'Neal is in here after he attended Trump's wedding. And there's even a picture I've never seen before from back in the day with Shaq wearing a Trump hat. Legendary TV judge Simon Cowell wrote to Trump in 2009 in an effort to get Trump on his show Britain's Got Talent. Trump published 3 different letters that he received from President Ronald Reagan dating from 1985 to 1988, and while Trump had pretty much nothing but nice things to say about Reagan, he did point out that Reagan preferred to speak off of cue cards and teleprompters, while Trump himself prefers to speak off the cuff. And he did criticize Reagan for, in his opinion, getting ripped off on some trade deals in the 1980s that set the stage for the recession of the early 1990s and more disastrous trade deals like NAFTA. But overall, Trump has a lot of respect for Reagan and appreciates the respect that the country had for Reagan when he was president. This one's pretty cool. Malcolm Forbes, the entrepreneur and media mogul publisher of Forbes magazine, wrote a heartfelt letter to Trump in 1984 thanking Trump for something that Trump did for him and his family, and it doesn't say what, after Forbes suffered a serious motorcycle accident. And Trump added that 20 years later, when he married Melania, Malcolm's son Steve Forbes gifted Trump with the motorcycle that Forbes was riding as a wedding gift. There's a great letter exchange between Trump and former CNN chairman Jeff Zucker when Trump is hilariously trying to get Zucker to donate the record-breaking profits that CNN received from Trump's 2015 Republican presidential debates. Trump's trying to get him to give the profits to a veterans charity, and of course, Jeff Zucker lets him know that will not be happening. Trump released all the letters that he received from Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin during his first term, and he also released, I believe for the first time, the letter that Barack Obama left him on the desk of the Oval Office when Trump took over for Obama in 2017. There's a ton of Democrats in here. Former New York Governor Mario Cuomo in the 1980s, his son Andrew Cuomo in the 2010s, Trump-hating former Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe wrote to Trump in the 2010s thanking him for all of his investments into Virginia and telling Trump how great he is, and San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, who Kamala Harris worked for and had an affair with to start her political career, wrote to Trump after him and Trump were in a helicopter that nearly crashed together and the two of them avoided disaster. Despite being friends with virtually every famous person over the past 40 years, Trump never joined their clubs, never joined their secret societies, and never took the same oath that a lot of these people took. It's amazing that Trump kept all these letters over 40 years. Trump has got to be the most famous person ever during their lifetime. If you disagree with that, you think there's somebody else who is more famous during their lifetime than Trump, let me know in the comments. I think it's an interesting debate. And also let me know if you want me to go more in depth on the relationship between Trump and any of the people I covered in this video. I think that stuff is interesting as well. Thank you for watching the entire Matthews Report. Please subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, and check back for more reports. I'll see you again soon.